Hello, Amelia Harshfield here. I'm an entrepreneur who focuses on changing the internal world and then watching as the external world follows. Do that through combining the Myers-Briggs type with very specific inner child work to help me get to where I want to go, become more resilient, be able to bounce back quicker, take things less personally, and all the other beautiful things that comes with that process. So today, I want to talk about something that a lot of people can struggle with once they start to get to a certain level of wealth or level of success, and that is trusting yourself to rebuild. And if you don't trust yourself to rebuild, you can be kind of like on the defensive state of like, I'm just trying to hold on to this. I don't want to stretch myself too much in case I lose all of this. It can stop you from taking the next steps forward and like in a kind of a scary way, because you're like, what if I lose everything? I don't want to go back to that place that I was when I was building everything up, because it's not easy to build things up. Sometimes it can be quite challenging. It can be stressful. Can be financially unstable, which is stress, causes stress and uncertainty on so many different areas. And it can keep you really stuck in a way that you might be making excuses, but you're not aware that you're making excuses. So you're like, I can't take that next risk in the business because of all the things that I have right now. I don't want to lose all of that. And that is absolutely fine of a place to be, especially if you have kids, especially if you have places that you want to go in life and you're happy with your lifestyle and you don't want to keep sacrificing things, because it is hard work to get to a level of success. But what's interesting is if you can trust yourself to rebuild, and this might be triggering just to hear this. So if you're a little triggered with this, that's okay. If you can trust yourself to rebuild, then you can keep taking those steps forward that got you to this place in a way that can keep you to keep growing, keep helping more people, keep changing lives, keep wanting to do yourself better. It's just, you might have like an inner child or a particular inner child that's having problems with that because they might be holding on too tightly to like, I don't want to go back to the place that we were. And the cool thing is just because, like, if worst case comes and you lose everything that you have, you didn't lose your knowledge. You didn't lose all the learning lessons that you have. And you could actually rebuild much faster because you've learned all of the things that got you to that point, right? Like when you were starting out, you didn't know all the stuff that you do now, which is one reason why people who win the lottery struggle, because if they don't have their, like, some people can win the lottery just from their mental space, like Helen Hansel, like, won a bunch of lotteries because that's what she was doing. That's what she was good at. If you're not one of those people, like, and win the lottery once and then they lose it all, that can be really, really hard to get that back because there's no real learning lesson there. It's just luck. But building what you have or what you've already done, that's not all luck. Like, it's probably a little lucky, but at the same time, you still had to learn certain things, learn what to do, learn what not to do, fail, and then learn from those failures, learn from the mistakes. And through all of that, you have learned quite a lot. So if you can trust yourself to go, okay, I don't want to rebuild, but I can. And if I were to do that, I'd actually do it in a better way and a faster way that can get me to where I am now, probably in a better, stable place. And as you're maybe trying to reach the next level, that can be really comforting to that part of you that's going like, oh no, what do I do with this? Because I don't want to go back to that place. And maybe it's not really about losing it all. It's like, I don't want to have to deal with all that struggle, or I don't want to have to deal with whatever was there. And if you know how to quiet that part of you's fear, it's usually inner child. based on your Myers-Briggs type. The work that I do, the different Myers-Briggs types have different inner children, so they'll have different voices and different things that they need to hear to calm down. So if you can figure out what that fear is, so if it's like, I don't want to have to keep dealing with all of this struggle again. That was really bad. And they kind of keep pointing to the past. It's really good to remember, like, where you're at now is different than where you're at in the past. And yes, that was really bad. And yes, that was horrible to go with. And at the same time, you are not there right now. Like, where you're at right now is different than you were when you were starting. And that can help start to rewire that parts of your mind, because that's usually, so that voice was very much geared toward that inward facing sensing. Whereas the outward facing sensing might be like, oh my gosh, my level of stability is really comfortable right now. I want to make sure that I keep this. So I'm just going to kind of look for ways that might be sabotaging me from keeping what I have. So it might be like, that's a threat when things come in. New ideas, that's a threat. New opportunities, that's a threat. So it might be identifying what's going on right now as threats to your stability. And that's the out, like, that's a fear of that outward facing sensing. So those are 2 of the 8 functions. So those are a couple different examples of how you can be triggered of losing what you have, and then having to rebuild. However, a lot of entrepreneurs actually have to go through this process. Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, writer, he had to go through this several times. And he said each time he lost everything, like even being homeless, sleeping in cars after he was quite successful, he said he came back stronger and quicker than before, than when he lost everything. So there is a way to trust yourself to be able to rebuild without having to go through all of the struggle that is that you had to go through. And it's usually just a process of identifying those inner children's fears and knowing what to say to them to get them to relax. Because if you know what to say to them in the specific ways, they can often calm down. And then after a certain amount of time, they relax, they start to trust you in that way, and then you can move forward. So you can keep expanding, you can keep building, or you can just let that fear go, which allows you just to be more present, be more calm, be more confident in yourself. So if you're like, I'm over this, I'm ready to trust myself in this way, I'm ready to relax more into this space, and like, I'm over this fear, because it can be quite debilitating. Go to my website, ameliaharshfield.com. I have some very specific ways, like I said, of helping you. It's just identifying what voice are you hearing, and then knowing what to say to that, and teaching you how to do that. So then you can soothe that voice, hear that, and then so you can calm down. And the work is quite effective. It's just usually like you have some kind of inner turmoil and you don't know how to separate it out, go like, this part's feeling this part's feeling this part's feeling this, and then having the voices to hear and calm them down, which is where I come in, using that Myers-Briggs type to help you balance out this inner struggle you might be having going on. And I've had lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of them, helped lots of clients with them. So I'm quite versed in this and quite good with this. So if you're willing to do the work, it can be quite effective. This work can be quite effective. So head on over to my website, amelia.harshfield.com, fill out the connect page. And then we'll see if you are a good fit. Not everyone is. They need to have be in a certain couple places in their lives. And then we'll see if what you think about the work, and if I can help. And if I can't help, I'll be super clear, because I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want, you don't need to be doing my work if it's not going to be right for you. So happy to see if I can help you get out from under this, because it can be quite freeing when you do. So I will see you on the next video.